At the time, Yahoo showed that there was a lot of searches for portable air conditioners. That's literally how I got into this business. And just from the beginning, we were just cash flowing it. It was super easy to show up and search. I didn't even think there were paid ads at that time, 2001. There may have been, but early on, the paid ads were super cheap.
This is Right About Now with Ryan Alford, a Radcast Network production. We are the #1 business show on the planet with over 1 million downloads a month. Taking the BS out of business for over 6 years and over 400 episodes. You ready to start snapping necks and cashing checks? Well, it starts right about now.
Right about now.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Right About Now. I hope you're doing great wherever you are, whatever you're listening. We appreciate you for making us #1 in business and marketing on Apple Podcasts. Today, talking one of my favorite subjects, entrepreneurship, success building. And hey, I like the little mini fridges, baby. You'll know what that means shortly once we talk with Luke Peters. What's up, Luke?
And stoked to be here. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
I know. Hey, avid surfer too.
I
heard.
The waves are right here. So yeah, love it.
In Huntington Beach. It's a great place to surf, I hear.
It's beautiful. We've had last month's been really nice. Kind of small right now, but the weather's gorgeous. So blessed, very lucky.
I mean, other than knowing, I'm in South Carolina. I don't know how you necessarily deal with some of the California bullshit, but other than that, it's a beautiful place to live. You got to live on the beach, right?
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, we are in like the sanest coastal city in California. So it's a very, very patriotic city. We have a huge 4th of July parade, American flags everywhere. So we lucked out where we are. But hey, South Carolina is beautiful too. We have a warehouse distribution center out in Spartanburg. So I know the area. I've been out there. Been out to Lowe's, of course, and which is somewhere. It's in the area, right? And then Spartanburg. We opened up over there.
Yeah, GSP. Our airport code, Greenville, Spartanburg.
It's tiny. We don't even bother with GSP, man. Just flying to Charlotte.
Come on. GSP is a model of efficiency. If I have a six, I used to fly to New York every week. 6 a.m. flight. I'd get up at 5:30 and be the first one in line on the plane.
Oh yeah. Tiny
airport. Almost like flying, private but commercial. Until you get into the plane itself. But Luke, I know you're a former CEO of NewAir. People probably know that. They're like, I know that name. Like when you first hit my radar, I was like, NewAir, I know that name. Then I read a little further, like, yes, mini fridges. Yeah.
Yep.
I remember them. Were you guys like one of the first? Were you one of the first like big names in mini fridges?
In mini, also in wine. So we do like just Yep. It's the wine, the beer, the cigar. So we cover the fun, portable refrigeration categories. Okay. And you put all those together and it's fun. The employees love it. People love like now we've got a whiskey ice maker that makes the ball ice, So these are the fun categories that people can get behind.
Fun refrigeration. I like it.
Yep.
We put the fun in business, like to let our hair down a little bit on our show. So I like, you don't naturally go refrigeration and fun necessarily, but hey, the wine coolers, the mini fridges for your Cokes, beers, Cokes, all that stuff. I always think back to Chris Farley. He was doing, Tommy Boy. He's like, oh, he got a mini fridge and everything. I can put all my beer, Coke. He's talking to his dad.
No, we had it. It's part of the culture. Everybody's responsible, but we had kegerators in there. We testing those out. We had, we've done different, licensing and partnership deals with different beer brands. And so we'll do cool wraps. It just, different events that the products will be shown in. So it's, listen, when you show up for work, you got to have fun too. So it's great. We were very fortunate to be in that fun category.
Luke, how'd you make NewAir so successful?
That's a lot.
That's a loaded question.
5 hours. There's a lot of luck, and it's a long story. But you want me to take you back to the beginning then?
Yeah, man. Tell me. Let's set the table for the audience. How do we build a $460-80 million company in sales?
Right. And we did 80 million the last year. Yeah. Over the course of, we did well over $500 million total, but then grew up to that size of a company. So what happened was, the beginning's kind of funny. I come from a big family. So I come from 12 people in my family. Okay. 12 siblings. Wow. And growing up here in Orange County. And it was always just, if you want something, you had to go make it, buy it, fight for it, whatever. You had to kind of, make your own way. Right. Well, anyways, I wasn't that great of a student, but I did finally graduate college, and but I got excited about science. I became a hazardous waste scientist. So I'm working for like a part of the government, and this is after hustling as a kid, right? And it's kind of boring, and all the old guys are like, man, what are you doing here? You're young, come back here to retire. Like, you got to get out in the world. Meanwhile, my little brother was selling stuff online. Okay. And at this time, I'm probably, 24 maybe, and he's, I don't know how old, 18, something like that, 19. And he's selling stuff online, making tons of money, driving a sports car. I'm driving a beat up truck, an hour and a half into LA. And I'm like, wait, something's wrong. So I just start burning the midnight oil. I see that HVAC is actually an untapped category. Okay. Back in the day, it was like, the digital stuff was being sold online. Okay. And I know you're a marketer. So it's like, even back then, people are selling RAM, computer stuff, but this is like 2000 and 2001, right? But nobody's selling anything semi-commercial or HIV. Nobody. And the people who were selling it, they sucked. And so I just learned HVAC or learned SEO and just stumbled on that category because at the time, Yahoo showed that there was a lot of searches for portable air conditioners. That's literally how I got into this business. And just from the beginning, we were just cash flowing it. It was the search. It was super easy to show up and search. I don't even think there were paid ads at that time, 2001. There may have been, but early on, the paid ads were super cheap. And so it was all D2C up until like 2012. And of course, paid ads came in. You had paid ads, you had, all the typical things, except social media wasn't that big back then. And so we just kind of grinded D2C, earning our customer, but we're like a one sale and you're done. Cause you maybe need a fridge and an ice maker or whatever, but you're not like coming back 6 months later. Right. So you had to be profitable on sale number one. And then what happened was, and this is kind of a big pivot, was then all of a sudden, I'm ranking top 3 for all the big terms. And all of a sudden I see Home Depot showing up, Walmart showing up. All of these guys woke up around 2012. Okay. And they got big freaking marketing departments. I don't, and I'm thinking, okay. And then of course, your paid ads starts getting more expensive and more competitive. And I'm like, whoa, this is going to be a problem going forward. As it is today, D2C is challenging, right? Yeah. And if you're selling a product and you don't have recurring revenue. So what we did is we just totally changed the whole business and put everything into brand. Okay. Just everything was focused around NewAir brand, creating the best brand, the coolest brand, the most trusted. Our motto was the most trusted brand in compact appliance. So we're all after trust, customer service, all of those things. And we sold to those guys. Right. So we're still direct to consumer roots, hustle, understand copy, understand messaging. And we're going against guys who are real slow because they have no idea how to reach the masses. They just know how to like talk to a buyer. So we were a nice, kind of blend of that. We were actually back around 2012 to 2018, we were very unique in that respect. And, that's kind of what kickstarted the growth, is selling into these large retailers.
Yeah. That 2012 rings true, because that's right around, I think, when all the big boys woke up. That's when Facebook stopped working organically for the most part, 12, 13, somewhere in there. And Google, all the big boys came in. I think they realized where they could get the ad dollars from, versus giving the young, scrappy guys that rode the train, then they knew, I can sell $1 million a month in pay-per-click ads to Home Depot.
Yeah,
I remember that year.
And the big guys don't care. They'll spend whether they're profitable or not. You know what I mean? So it's a whole
the metrics
game
are so out of whack. Like, it's like they got to hit a certain number no matter what the expense is. Kind of like the government,
That's true. That's a great parallel, actually.
Too big
up
to
until
fail.
A couple years ago, up until a few years ago, then all of a sudden they got wise because they're getting crushed by Amazon and Walmart, so they all had to compete. But yeah, there is that grace period in the middle.
20 years. I mean, like as a leader of a company and doing the marketing that you did and having the growth that you had. When you reflect on both the success and what you learned, are there like light bulbs that kind of key points or things that come to mind?
Yeah, for sure. So we ended up selling in 2001. Okay. And for me, personally, that was a big thing, because it's like, if you sell, you created something that is proven value, and then private equity is coming in and buying. And then I stayed on for a while, and then I've got a great new CEO running it now. And so I'm able to take time and reflect on it. And I would say that there are definitely a couple of things. Like the first one is when you can afford it, like as a business leader, as a business owner, is getting the best people in and getting some skin in the game for the best people. Okay. And then creating a vision and letting them know what that final outcome looks like. So for example, early on, I probably would have been, I was more tight, because I'm thinking, okay, if how much should I share? And then later on, as I, kind of learned the right way to lead, and there's a lot to it that I learned, but I'm just simplifying it here. It's like when you get good people and you say, hey, let's sell in 3 years. And if we do, this is what it looks like for you. Like they're going to just run through walls. Like there's a huge, because everybody's motivated by money. Okay. It's like, you want people who are just going to always do the right thing, but you got to show them that this is what it's going to look like for you. And they're going to work their asses off and get there if there's a big payday for them. And they're going to do things that you could never do on your own. So that was a big one that I learned, as far as like getting the right people. I realized early on that can be hard. Like if companies don't have enough scale, like they can't hire in, that CFO for 250 or 300, or they can't hire that CEO, but you can still prioritize getting the best people over saving a few dollars is how I would say for most companies. And then just another quick one is just focusing on margins. Too many companies are, they're churning revenue, they're churning top line, they're building in lots of expenses into their business system. Okay. And they're saying one day I'll get scale. One day I'm going to get leverage. And that does work for some companies. Okay. And especially people who've already done it, they're really smart and they come at it round two and they really know how to get to that point. But for a lot of people it doesn't work. It's like before you go build like a 10 or $20 million company and then try to figure out how to make money, like make money from day one, because the thing is, that can actually, basically what it's telling you is your brand is not valuable enough to the market. Like if you're not profitable when you're a couple $1 million at the transaction level, there's a good chance that as you're 10, 15, 20, you still may not be that profitable because the market's telling you like, this is all we're going to pay for your brand, And so you want to figure that out early on. What do I need to do with my product or service? How do I add more value? How do I, stretch these margins? And so that's a huge one. Right now I do CEO coaching, and that's like one of my main focuses. Like, what are your margins? Okay. How can we get creative and really think about your product and big focus on the product?
Talking with Luke Peters, former CEO of NewAir, and now executive CEO coach and mentor. We'll call you a mentor. I already feel like you're mentoring me a little bit here, Luke. I'm like taking mental notes while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Luke, tell me, I want to go back. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of good stuff there. I want to, my ears perked up like 4 to 5 times. My radar as a host went off a few different times, and this is why I do this, because I just take so much from like our guests and how knowledgeable they are. But the finding great people where you feel like you should share equity, give me some attributes that you look for in those people. Like you said, ultimately, like you got to give them skin in the game because everybody's in it. Look, we're all in it for ourselves. They need to be. Then they should be. They should be money motivated. That if they're not, they're probably hard to even motivate, period. But what are like the biggest attributes in key, maybe not all chief officer level, but key component people that you hire? What are the attributes that leaders should look for in those people?
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, I mean, Ryan, this is it. First of all, hiring is super hard. I was just talking to a friend yesterday and he's hiring, and I gave him a few ideas, which we can talk about, but it's still super hard. So here's the ways to if you can afford it, work with an executive recruiter for your C-level positions. Okay. Because and I'm not talking about a regular recruiter, and the executive recruiters are super expensive, by the way. They're going to take like 30%, but they're going to do things that you could never do. And they have a network and a pool that they can pull from, and they can get people who are better that you would never be able to attract, because they're going to soften up their ear a bit and they're going to pull them in, right? Because you want people that might be hard to frankly hire for your company. Okay. Because maybe they have maybe like a younger company, not your company, but I'm saying like the typical company that's starting out, it's like they may not have the reputation to pull that type of talent, right? So that's one idea. The other idea is, this is something that's a long-term play, is like, first, you got to make your place a great place to work. So that was one of my main objectives, was win Best Place to Work awards, because great people want to work for great companies. They don't want to go work at a crap company and think they can turn it around. So you're selling your business to these great people. So this is a multi-year thing. How do I become best place to work? What do I need to do? What do I have to change in my culture? And so you should always be working on that if you're the leader, because getting talent, it's like sports, it's like you want to attract the best players. This isn't just a 1-year thing. This is like a journey you're on, so you can pull these best players in. The other thing is, the specific is, when you hire, have they done successfully the job you're asking them to do? So too many times, when we're hiring, you were saying, okay, well, I think they have the aptitude. And now, trust me, it's okay to think that way. But if you're hiring high level, VP, C level, whatever it might be, it's like, my number one thing is, have they already done it? I want someone who's already done it, because I haven't done it probably. It's like, dude, I'm just putting a team together. I haven't done all these things. I'm not able to, I don't have all these connections and know all these buyers. Let's say if I'm hiring a salesperson, or if I'm hiring like a marketing exec, sure, I know my marketing, but maybe they've got some skills I don't have. And that's why I'm bringing them in. So I want someone who's already done it. So those are the things, Brian. And then the other one is just during the interview process, references. So that, first of all, it's like very detailed on their track record in their jobs, super detailed. Put an eye mask on. I mean, I'm kidding, but it's like, don't be, you be careful that you're tricked on personality and how much you like the person. It's like, what has their track record been? And then do something called top grading, which is a great book. And this is pretty simple. And what it is go through all the references. And typically they're going to give you like their 3 best references, right? But go through all their jobs, and maybe let's say they've had 7. So you say, who did you report to? You get the name of the report. And then later on, you've written down all these names. So at the end, you say, okay, here's 3 references, but here's 4 people they didn't list as a reference, right? Because they just didn't. And you say, okay, you reported to Jennifer over here. Can you have, what would Jennifer say about you? First of all, you say, what would she say about you? How would she describe you? They won't lie. They know that now, oh shit, you can call Jennifer. So they're going to tell the truth of what Jennifer, and then you go through the list, and then you say, okay, great. Can you, and this is, of course, if you like this person, you want to go to the next step, you say, okay, great. Can you have Jennifer call me and have so-and-so call me? Don't, you're not out there like, otherwise take you forever to go get in contact with these people, right? So they're going to do the legwork, and you put all this together and your odds are improved.
Hey, thoroughness. I mean, at the end of the day, and I've been guilty of this, there's an old saying, an old creative director I worked with said, and it drove me crazy. I was a young account guy, and I'm like, he's just saying that because he wants more time. But he's like, never time to do it right, always time to do it over.
That's true.
And it's like that with hiring, we got to get them in. And, but it just takes some thoroughness with which to vet candidates. And I love, what would you call that last tactic? It has a name. You said there's a book.
Yeah. Top grading.
Top grading. Yeah. That's interesting.
There's a book on it.
Yeah. I like that. Talking with Luke Peters, former CEO of NewAir. Luke, my radar went off on that first little spiel on all the success you built with NewAir and some of the tactics and things that got there. really interesting. I'm going where the brand, like your differentiation, like it is amazing sometimes. I've worked with a lot of companies, good, bad, and ugly, over the years in marketing, and it's real hard to you can't make bad companies good. Yeah, it's really difficult. You can make the good companies great, but it's really difficult to make bad. And I do think, there's a lot of truth to be had and a lot of mirror to be looking in, to really determining if your product, service, or what you do differentiates and stands out and can be made to be, again, profitable. Seems like there's a lot of people that, do things that a lot of other people do, and they just assume that, success will be guaranteed, but it just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, no, that's why it's important early on. Like, I think it's tough because a lot of times people give up too early. So it is really, really tough to say, if it's not working, you got to tweak this. But I guess you should always be tweaking. But too many people, I would say it's a bigger error is to give up early. So you can't do that. But it's like at the beginning, you have to be smart and you got to look at your product and, have some way to measure your competitive advantage over, what the market is offering. I guess I'd say it like that. Like, think deeper about your competitive advantage and even use things. I mean, there's all kinds of online tools. You can use SurveyMonkey, you can use your friends, you could use LinkedIn. There's ways where you can vet that. But often what happens is as, you're growing your business, you kind of naturally do that. You know what I mean? The good leaders are naturally, like, you're probably not even thinking about it, but you're learning. You're like, oh, okay, I got the sale here. What copy did I use, or what pitch was I using? Oh, okay, this is what they wanted. I thought they wanted this, but they actually wanted this, right? And you're sort of iterating along the way. But if you can do that without making it accidental, like from the beginning, if you could do your basic market research. And this is basic branding, right? So it's like, what is your position in the market, okay? And can you create some sort of emotional connection? Now, not every product, a lot of people think, well, like with us, with fridges, how are we gonna do that, But you can do it. You can come up with fun ways to create some emotional connection, because a brand is a feeling that somebody has about you. That's literally what it is. So how do you make more people feel a certain way about you, And that, I think that would be a good one. I think the guys, like, I don't drink a lot, but the company, it's like, we're having all these beer partnerships and stuff like that. And the guys, and every year though, you can even do this in a company. It's like, I'm really not, I don't drink whiskey. I like my IPA a little bit, but I don't drink a lot, right? But every year I would joke around, and at our party, we'd have a shot of Jägermeister. Okay. Everybody hated Jägermeister, okay? Yeah. But it was memorable.
I've had flashbacks of you say that, like, a Jaeger bomb. Jaeger bomb, that was like, it just come out when I was in college, like mixing Red Bull with Jaeger, like that. Oh, good idea. Yeah.
But you haven't forgot it. See, so like, I would do that at the year-end party because it was fun. It's like everybody would be complaining, Jaeger. No, why is he choosing Jaeger? So it's making the fun memory stamps in people's heads. Like that's what I want people thinking about.
Yeah, people think with their head and they buy with their heart.
Right.
That's one of my all-time sayings with clients. They're like, they get too rational. I'm like, hey, baby, this is all about emotion. Emotion moves the purse strings in the wallet. Luke, what was that process like for you guys at NewAir? I mean, you're selling fun, like you said, in a way with what you did. It sounds like you guys found a balance there of the functionality of, hey, the mini fridge, you need it in this tight space and all that. Like, that's a very functional thing, but you brought the fun in somewhere.
Yeah. Well, early on I didn't. And so that's definitely something I had to learn. Early on, it was about winning eyeballs. So it was about dominating SEO, right? It was like, how do I, and that's what it was. Of course, it was good delivery. It was being agile. But that, early on, we're selling like just portable air conditioners, thermostats, fans, humidifiers, dehumidifiers. So if you think of those products, like, you're not buying, like a portable AC, and you're probably not taking a picture of it to your friends. Guys, look what I got. You're not, it's not a shareable product, right?
Yeah. I did with my wife. See, we have a houseboat, and we've upgraded over the years. But we had a portable AC. I'll send it to my wife. Hey, she's happy.
Different you're thing, the customer though. We need. You're the one we need. But yeah. But then I wanted to build the brand. Now we're still selling those things, but then I talk about that pivot in 2012.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to focus on the brand, and that's where we got deep into wine, into beer. And even into cigar, even though I don't smoke, it's like the guys make fun of me. They take me to like a cigar house and like, I'm not even sure how to inhale properly, and they're making fun of me, but people love those categories. Okay. They want, when they buy one of those, first of all, they search all over YouTube for it. So what we did is we had a cool influencer marketing strategy, right? Cause they're like, okay, I want to get a cigar humidor. What do I need to think about? And so they're doing all this research. And that's like very top of funnel. And we just want to be showing up at different points in the funnel. And as far as like ACs, for example, they might search, what size do I need? They're not going to really watch a 30-minute video on it. They're just going to be like, what are the specs I need to cool my room? The other ones are really deep into content. And so it worked good for an influencer marketing campaign. And we were one of the first to do it for appliances.
Yeah. I love talking about the funnel now. Everybody wants to jump to the bottom. Hey, you can't jump to the bottom. Somebody's got to be aware of you. They got to consider you. They got to have intent for you, and then they buy. Yeah,
that's so true. That's so
true. I mean, we don't want it to be true. I wish it wasn't true. And performance marketing is sort of, spoiled people because, you have the hyper targeting because, maybe somebody's just raised their hand immediately. They're looking for X product and you can close them on one ad. But that's just not the reality for most things. And you got to build that TOMA, top of mind awareness.
It's hard to do.
It is hard. Yep. I mean, but for your segment, NewAir is funny. You guys did something because, again, back to, focus group of one here. As soon as I heard that, I knew that. And then when you said the wine fridge, that's when it rang. I knew that's where I associated you guys. Because if I went into a store and I saw the NewAir logo, I would know that'd be like my first. So you guys did something that triggered my brain for that over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Well, we're fortunate. I mean, we do have in-store placements. We're in Home Depot. So we did a little bit of the online, the in-store, the direct to consumer, show up on all the retailers. But now everybody's doing that, right? So everybody's like they're doing the quote unquote multi-channel. But I think we were lucky. So not it's different for different categories, right? And this being a marketer, but it's our stuff. Since it's expensive enough, we can trade it for a video, let's say. Okay. And I know TikTok's hot now, but when I started doing this, it was like 2017, maybe 20, it was early for influencer marketing. Yeah. And we were using the micro influencers, not micro, but we had criteria, but they were small and it was always a trade. But our stuff's worth. Yeah, send them a fridge. And they're like, okay, cool. We'll do an unboxing and I'll show how it looks. And you just do, every time you launch a product, we're like, okay, find 25 influencers. And this is exactly what we want them to do. Of course, it's got to be organic and there's rules around what you can do and what they have to say. But yeah, that was what's funny is that was literally what my marketing was. Like, there's all these other things I could do. I could write blogs, I could do PR, we could do lots of paid ads. I'm like, you know what? Just do this one because I think it builds the most trust. If you saw someone you follow and they opened up a product, I think you'd kind of like trust that more than if you just see some paid ad or something like that.
Well, shameless plug here, Luke, but podcast advertising is the number one trusted medium in advertising. Boom. Now.
There you go. There you go.
And the fastest growing. And we need a NewAir. I mean, I'm seeing a spot for my energy drinks. I'm just saying.
Well, it is because it's sticky, right? So people who listen, they're coming back, and so they're hearing it and they trust. But yeah, that's a good one.
Hey, Luke. So you've taken all you've learned, and now we're teaching others, right? Mm-hmm. And so. How are we coaching CEOs? What are some of the common challenges and things you're working on with them?
Yeah, you know what's fun is that everybody's got a different challenge. So it's I think sometimes like CEO coaches, don't know if you want to call it an oxymoron, but it's like, it's an overused term. And a lot of times some of these coaches haven't even literally started their own business. So for me, like, I want to work with a founder, CEO. I can kind of share the same learnings, and I know what they feel. And I think I would boil it down to, are they working on the right problem? Believe it or not, like, that's a big one, because, you know, people are in their business. They've gotten to a certain level of success probably. But it's hard for them at this point to be super creative. Now they just got to keep double down, triple down on what they currently are doing. And so I can kind of come in and be like, okay, you know, it could be something they're not thinking about. It could be something obvious, but then I'll just hold them accountable and show them how to get from point A to point B. That's one. The other one is especially now, a lot of clients want to exit their business. Okay. And they want to exit, but they're not ready to exit, or they don't realize this is like bad news when they hear it, but it's like, it's going to take you a couple years to get ready to exit. Okay. But it's better if you start today, right? Because, you know, if you just go exit, you're going to like lose a lot of value. And so there's a lot of older entrepreneurs, they want to exit. And so that's an area that because, you know, I sold my company and there's a lot of people that can help them exit, but it's different when it's somebody who has done the same thing, sold a business. I'm not a banker, you know, so I talk their language and help them exit. And then the other one is just focus on product positioning, and let's think about margin. Other times they have people issues. A lot of times you'd be surprised, you know, people don't have a system they run off of. Their team is not built around goals and metrics, which is, you know, like one client asked me, you know, hey, I need to do employee development. Okay. And so I start working with them and I'm understanding their company. And I'm like, you know, the best employee development is just, let's set up goal. Every one of your employees should have a goal, and that's super simple because that makes it clear. Why are they literally coming to work? Like if the employee doesn't know why they're coming to work, like they're not coming in fired up every day. They're like, okay, boss told me to do this. No, you want employee telling boss like, hey, I think I can achieve this. Put a goal around it. Let them run with it, and then have one-on-one meetings. Show them you care, listen, scheduled one-on-one meetings. So it was like, you know, it's an easy solution for something like employee development. So there's a lot of different ways, and those are a couple examples.
Luke, what's the craziest thing you ever saw at your company? Like, tell us a fun, like, or anything crazy, like, or funny, or just out of the box that people would get a kick out of, you know, running a multi-million-dollar company. Like, shit happens, right? I mean, the more salacious or funny, the better here, Luke.
Well, I'll tell you, yeah, some of them, I don't know if I can even tell. Okay. Some things happen at Christmas.
That's ones we want, Luke.
Well, you know, when you have two employees at a Christmas party, get friendly with each other. That can make it awkward the next day when they show up for work.
That never happened, right? I mean, how many employees did you have? How many employees do you have at like?
Okay, at that time we probably had 35. There's probably 35 at the Christmas party.
That is pretty obvious. That's not a big number. I mean, like, it's sticking out.
No. Everybody knows everybody at that point, and everybody knows what happened that night. And okay, that was one. Another one, another funny one. I can get into more detail was. You know, I'm in California, right? So this is the land of the stupid lawsuits. Okay, it's like you open a business here, you're going to get sued. It's like as soon as you hire an employee, get ready to get a lawsuit, right? So I had this one guy, and I always thought he was kind of odd because, you know, he told me, you know, he's talking about his son, and his son is going to MIT. And one time I was right next to MIT because we were visiting Wayfair, and I'm like, hey, there's MIT, and let's go visit your son. He's like, no, he's probably busy. I'm like, dude, you flew all the way out here. You've been telling me about your son. Let's go visit him. Anyways, he pushes off, and I'm thinking, okay, whatever. So we go on, do our sales calls. Anyways, down the road, I hear more lies come out of this guy, right? And I'm like, all right, I gotta let him go. So I let him go. First off, what he does is he immediately writes me back this thing on how I'm ageist, because he was like over 50 or something. And I was like 45. We're like the same age, but he's like 5 years older, right?
Yeah.
And he's writing this thing about how and then he writes me this this really well written email about how I had been making fake, claims to them. They were all fake. Then he walks out the door and he's yelling at everybody, Luke, you said all these things about me. I'm like, this is like, I'm literally in the middle of craziness. And then he ends up faking an ER visit in a hospital on the freeway with his wife helping him to say that this caused a heart attack. And of course it turns into you got to settle these lawsuits. Like I'm like, wow, this is just, of course I have insurance, but I was pissed, man. I'm like, I went to the arbitration or some hearing. And I'm like, this is complete bullshit, but the judges know it's bullshit and they all got to just settle. And it was actually kind of sad too, because it's like, man, that guy just worked here a couple of years. It's like, what's he going to do next time he goes to get a job? It's like, why wouldn't you just, go with honor? I'm never going to talk bad about anybody, behind them. It's like, he really just screwed himself. But at the time, I mean, that was crazy. It was just like, wow, somebody is such a compulsive liar that they would say these things. It
was definitely a giveaway when he didn't want to visit his own son. He's driving by the university. Talk about like coming back. He's I wonder if it's running through his mind going, oh God, I hope Luke doesn't bring up my son, or if you really just caught him like in the moment. He's like, he's on a botanist journey. He's doing a sabbatical in Brazil.
And I'm just naive. I'm like optimistic and naive about those things. So for me, it's like I'm the last one to catch these faults. It's like that's my weakness there.
Yeah. Any success stories or maybe not naming names, but like with your coaching and stuff, like some transformations or things that you've seen or things that you're proud of?
Definitely. I'm pretty new. I'm only a couple months into it. So this is, it still is a new thing that I'm, because I sold the company, then took some time off and then now I'm starting this. But it's actually really exciting helping people who, like one in particular has a vision for a product. And it's a really cool product, but this is early stage. And this is something where it's like, it's not really, I'm not even charging, for this one. Cause it's like, I'm not going to, I've made my keep. I'm good. So I'm doing this for fun. And it's not really meant for startups because startups don't really have the money to pay for coaching. But in this particular case, I mean, this guy's got a great product idea. So just helping him along, but he doesn't know how to get it to the next level. And also he's like invested way too much money to get where he is, so in this case, it's fun because it's holding him accountable. Like, hey, no, dude, if he's got a gold mine over here, which is another business, which is supporting the failing business. And it's like, no. You got to get this thing to an MVP, minimum viable product. You got to launch this thing. You got to stop spending money on it and helping them get to that point and even manufacture it here in the USA, which I think will be a cool differentiator for them. So it's early, but I think this one's got a lot of potential. And it's exciting to work with businesses like that to, hopefully reap the reward of some success in the future.
Luke, other than surfing, what keeps your motor running?
Well, I got 6 kids, so we were talking about kids beforehand. you got 4. You say you have 4. You have 4 boys.
Yep. Oh so, I'm knee deep in coaching. I'm coaching. I got basketball practice tonight. I coach
there you go.
Yeah, I coach. I'm at every game.
I love it. I've coached them all. Yeah, I've coached them all. Soccer, and basketball. I don't do football because the guys get too crazy in football, and then baseball, they're never really into it. So I do that, hang out with the kids. We're doing a road trip this weekend. We're just going to go up to St. George by Zion, do some hiking. So a lot of outdoor stuff.
There you go. Luke, for our listeners that want to learn more about what you're doing, how you're helping coaching and all that sort of stuff, where can people keep up with what you're doing?
Sure. On LinkedIn, under Luke Peters, follow me there. And then check out apexceo.co. I do a free coaching call. So if someone's got a business and they just want to throw some ideas at me, just schedule a call on there and we'll have a fun conversation. I can probably help you out, just a short amount of time, just someone to bounce ideas off of. So I got the free call offer on the website, apexceo.co.
Love that. We'll have that in all the show notes. Luke, you got a great demeanor. I think you're going to really help a lot of people. You have this approachable, like practical side, but then there's like this fun, like brand. I don't know. I really think people will be lucky to work with you.
Thank you, man. I really, really appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me on the show.
You know where to find us, ryanisright.com. You'll find links to all of Luke's stuff. You'll highlight clips, the full episode, and go over there and subscribe on YouTube. We're growing like gangbusters over there. We've got the largest the Radcast Network's the largest podcast network on YouTube. Go check it out. And look, we're bringing you value, baby, like Luke Peters. We appreciate you, Luke. We appreciate you for listening. We'll see you next time on Right About Now.
This has been Right About Now with Ryan Alford, a Radcast Network production. Visit ryanisright.com for full audio and video versions of the show or to inquire about sponsorship opportunities. Thanks for listening.